Hello, good evening, and this is day 17 of Reading the Bible in a Year, take 2, because the the clip-on microphone that I was using ran out of batteries as soon as I said the first few words of the first reading in the first take. And I didn't realise until I'd finished the readings, so I'm quite annoyed at myself. Right. I'm reading them again. Oh, and I had a really good interview today. It was really good from my perspective anyway. I was able to say all the things that I needed to. Probably not all the things I wanted to. And we just generally had a really good conversation during the interview. And I felt it was very like it was a productive interview. Because I got to know them, they got to know me. And yeah. Fingers crossed, hands together. Thank the Lord that I had the opportunity to have the interview and that He helped me throughout it as well. So okay. Genesis chapter 43. Joseph's brothers return with Benjamin. Now the famine was severe in the land, and it came to pass, when they had eaten up the grain which they had brought from Egypt, that their father said to them, Go back and buy us a little food. But Judah spoke to him, saying, The man solemnly warned us, saying, You shall not see my face unless your brother is with you. If you send your brother with us, if you send our brother with us, we will go down and buy you food. But if you will not send him, we will not go down. For the man said to us, You shall not see my face unless your brother is with you. And Israel said, Why did you deal so wrongfully with me, as to tell the man whether you still had another brother? And they said, The man asked us pointedly about ourselves and our family, saying, Is your father still alive? Have you another brother? And we told him according to these words. Could we possibly have known that he would say, Bring your brother down? Then Judah said to Israel his father, Send the lad with me, and I will arise and go, that we may live and not die, both we and you, and also our little ones. I myself will be surety for him. From my hand you shall require him. If I do not bring him back to you, and set him before you, then let me bear the blame forever. For if we had not lingered, surely by now we would have returned this second time. And their father Israel said to them, If it must be so, then do this. Take some of the best fruits of the land in your vessels, and carry down a present for the man, a little balm and a little honey, spices and myrrh, pistachio nuts and almonds. It's a famine. How are their fruits? That doesn't make sense. Take double money in your hand, and take back in your hand the money that was returned in the mouth of your sacks. Perhaps it was an oversight. Take your brother also, and arise, go back to the man. And may God Almighty give you mercy before the man, that he may release your other brother and Benjamin, If I am bereaved, I am bereaved." So the men took that present and Benjamin, and they took double money in their hands, and arose and went down to Egypt, and they stood before Joseph. When Joseph saw Benjamin with them, he said to the steward of his house, "Take these men to my home, and slaughter an animal, and make it ready, for these men will dine with me at noon." Then the man did as Joseph ordered, and the man brought the men into Joseph's house. Now the men were afraid, because they were brought into Joseph's house. And they said, "It is because of the money which was returned in our sacks the first time, if we are brought in, so that he may make a case against us, and seize us, to take us as slaves with our donkeys." When they drew near to the steward of Joseph's house, they talked with him at the door of the house, and said, "O sir, we indeed came down the first time to buy food, but it happened, when we came to the encampment, that when we opened our sacks, and there each man's money was in the mouth of his sack, and money in full weight, so we have brought it back in our hands. And we have brought down other money in our hands to buy food. We do not know who put our money in our sacks." But he said, "Peace be with you, do not be afraid. Your God and the God of your father has given you treasure in your sacks. I had your money." Then he brought Simeon out to them. Oh, it was Simeon that was left there. So the man brought the men into Joseph's house and gave them water, and they washed their feet, and he gave the donkeys feed. Then they made the present ready for Joseph's coming at noon, for they had heard that they would eat bread there. And when Joseph came home, they brought him the present which was in their hands into their house, and bowed down before him to the earth. Then he asked them about their well-being, and said, "Is your father well? The old man of whom you spoke, is he still alive?" And they answered, "Your servant our father is in good health, he is still alive." And they bowed their heads down and prostrated themselves. That's basically bowing as low as possible, possibly putting even the forehead onto the ground. I only know that because of Stargate SG-1. One of my favourite, actually, the favourite all-time of my sci-fi series. Anyway, back to the Bible. Then he lifted his eyes and saw his brother Benjamin, his mother's son, and said, "Is this your younger brother of whom you spoke to me?" And he said, "God be gracious to you, my son." Now his heart yearned for his brother. So Joseph made haste and sought somewhere to weep, and he went into his chamber and wept there. Then he washed his face and came out, and restrained himself, and said, "Serve the bread." So they set him at a place by himself, and they them by themselves, and the Egyptians who ate with him by themselves, because the Egyptians could not eat food with the Hebrews, for that is an abomination to the Egyptians. And they sat before him, the firstborn according to his birthright, and the youngest according to his youth. And the men looked in astonishment at one another. Then he took servings to them from before him, but Benjamin's serving was 5 times as much as any of theirs. So they drank and were merry with him. That sounds like a lot of food, especially for the youngest. I have no idea how old Benjamin would have been in this time. We'll probably find out. Chapter 44. Joseph's cup. And he commanded the steward of his house, saying, "Fill the men's sacks with the food, as much as they can carry, and put each man's money in the mouth of his sack. Also, put my cup, the silver one, in the mouth of the sack of the youngest. in his grain money. So he did according to the word that Joseph had spoken. Zaphpanah. As soon as the morning had dawned, the men were sent away, and with their donkeys. When they had gone out of the city and were not yet far off, Joseph said to his steward, "Get up and follow the men. When you overtake them, say to them, 'Why have you repaid evil for good? Is this not the one from which my Lord drinks, with which he indeed practices divination? You have done evil in so doing.'" So he overtook them and spoke to them in these same words. And they said to him, "Why does my Lord say these words? Far be it for us that your servants should do such as the thing. Look, we have brought back to you from the land of Canaan the money which we have brought in the mouths of our sacks. How then could we steal silver or gold from your Lord's house? With whomever of your servants it is found, let him die, and we also will be my Lord's slaves." And he said, "Now let it be according to your words. He whom with it is found shall be my slave, and you shall be blameless." Then each man speedily let down his sack to the ground and opened his sack. So he searched. He began with the oldest and left off with the youngest, and the cup was found in Benjamin's sack. Then they tore their clothes, each man loaded his donkey, and returned to the city. So Judah and his brothers came to Joseph's house, and he was still there, and they fell before him on the ground. And Joseph said to them, "What deed is this you have done? Did you not know that such man as I can certainly practice divination?" Then Judah said, "What shall we say to my lord? What shall we speak? Or how shall we clear ourselves? God has found out the iniquity of your servants. Here we are, my lord's slaves, both we and he also with whom the cup was found." But he said, "Far be it from me that I should do so. The man in whose hand the cup was found, he shall be my slave. And as for you, go up in peace and to your father." I need a drink. Judah intercedes for Benjamin. Then Judah came near to him and said, "O my lord, please let your servant speak a word in my lord's hearing, and do not let your anger burn against your servant, for you are even like Pharaoh." My lord asked his servant, saying, "Have you a father or brother?" And we said to my lord, "We have a father, an old man, and a child of his old age, who is young. His brother is dead, and he alone is left of his mother's children, and his father loves him." Then you said to your servants, "Bring him down to me, that I may set my eyes on him." And we said to my lord, "The lad cannot leave his father, for if he should leave his father would die." But you said to your servants, "Unless your youngest brother comes down with you, you shall see my face no more." So it was, when we went up to your servant my father, that we told him the words of my lord. And our father said, "Go back and buy us a little food." But we said, "We cannot go down. If our youngest brother is with us, then we will go down. For we may not see the man's face unless our youngest brother is with us." Then your servant my father said to us, "You know that my wife bore me 2 sons, and the one went out from me, and I said, 'Surely he is torn to pieces,' and I have not seen him since. But if you take this one also from me, and calamity befalls him, then you shall bring down my grey hair with sorrow to the grave. Now therefore, when I came when I come to your servant, my father, and the lad is not with us, since his life is bound up with the lad's life, it will happen, when he sees that the lad is not with us, that he will die. So your servants will bring down the grey hair of your servant, our father, with sorrow to the grave. For your servant became surety that the lad of my father to my father, saying, If I do not bring him back to you, then I shall bear the blame before my father forever. Now therefore, please, let your servant remain instead of the lad as a slave to my lord, and let the lad go up with his brothers. For how shall I go up to my father if the lad is not with us? Lest perhaps I see the evil that would come upon my father. And with this close to Joseph's brothers finding out that they were talking to Joseph the whole time. But that's for tomorrow. All right, on to the next reading, and it is Psalm 24. And I'm still quite annoyed that I'm having to re-record all this.